We had a couple short streams, but the stream has been effectively quiet for the last week as I was playing over the board. Good to see Scared Knight, sometimes referred to as Sacred Knight. Asterbait, of course, here as always. Schieberspieler, good to see you. Got the first game up in the list. Tonight we're going to do game analysis. It's our Thursday theme. Schieberspieler says, fun fact from the World Cup. Fedosave got the semifinals without playing a single 2700 plus. I guess that's the advantage of having a good rating. Who else is here? Asterbait, Schieberspieler, Gita B, Sean Pinto. So I'm back. I'm happy to be back. We're going to be going over some subscriber games. That's the theme of the day. I didn't watch the World Cup much. Princess Chess, welcome. I didn't watch the World Cup, but I did notice that Sam Scanklin got brutally mated by Karyakin in a revenge game. I don't really like Shanklin. He's rather arrogant, and I know that a lot of Americans were supporting him, but I don't feel any particular need to support someone I don't particularly like because they're a fellow American or whatever. I don't really like rooting for Karyakin, as he's representing Russia, but I'd still rather see him win. So it's good to see Skanklin get crushed. Hopefully Karyakin takes him out. Goiju's here for a bit. Welcome back. Thank you. Hosto Piano, thanks for being a subscriber. So on tap we have Mr. Swift Tickle. We have Schieberspieler game, Asterbait game. Only a few people submitted because we're down this week, and I think people aren't thinking about my streams when I'm not streaming for a week. So we only got a few submissions so far. Schieberspieler, Asterbait, Tezake, and Yabadis. No Blitz versus viewers tomorrow. Every Friday morning, Sean, we're going to go back to our normal schedule. So Friday, 11 a.m. Central European Summertime. Bob always surprises. Just when we're not expecting it, you show up. Good to have you back. It was in the title. No, that was the old title. I hope it's not in the title. It might be. Twitch does... Oh, it did it again. Dude, what is up with my Twitch? Dude, I changed the title and it's back again. There's these ghost titles coming back. What is that about? That happened last time too. That is crazy. There's a bug in Twitch where I changed the stream title and then it reverts back to what it was before. What is the deal with that? I swear to you, I already changed this literally 5 minutes ago. Did anyone see it? I put in weekly game analysis and it changed to in front of my eyes. And then it pops back to the other. Let's see if it sticks this time. You think Magnus? I don't know. No. I mean, I don't expect Magnus to beat Duda in regulation games. Magnus's big thing is fast time controls. I would be more likely to suspect they would draw the regular games and Magnus would probably, be the favorite in Rapids. That's his normal modus operandi against really good players. Like his World Championship match against Karyakin. Duda is unbeaten in the World Cup. He's kind of like the UK, not giving up any goals in the Euro. Alright, so the first game for today, guys, is an honor to go over this one. It's from the Hungarian Rapid Championship. Roland Margul. Margul is Schieberspieler, and that's his real name. And the white player here is Banus Tamás. We say the Hungarian family name first. The first name last. So I would say Banus Tamás. Um, anyway, Banus is a strong grandmaster. I played I played Banus several times, but it was really like most of the games were 10 years ago when he was coming up. I think I have like 2 draws and 2 losses against Banus. I can't really remember now very well my games anymore. Somewhere in that void when I was drinking too much. Alright, so Banus playing white. Yeah, Banus is playing knight f3 a lot. He used to play e4 primarily. And I've seen some good games from him in like the English, knight f3, move order English stuff. So Lichess misunderstood 15 plus 10. So this is rapid. Yeah, I assumed that it was 15-0, but it's 15 plus 10. It's an over-the-board tournament, so the times are not really recorded here, anything like that, I assume. I don't know how Schieberspieler entered this game in. You know, maybe the tournament was broadcast live. You could probably have imported a broadcast game. Maybe we do have times. I don't know. It says 15 plus 10. Oh, okay. The time control actually does say 15 plus 10. Is that correct? Oh. Okay, it was broadcasted. I'm just curious if we have times. There's no move times, though. So you play d5? Out of curiosity, do you ever play like other stuff like c5? I often play like c5. I mean, because you can play the Sicilian, but your most of your repertoire is based on d5 defenses against d4. You know, if you play c5, you can go into Sicilian or in English. So that's my repertoire. d5 now. Banus with g3. I don't know that much about his repertoire now. Personally, I don't really like c4, d4 for white. There was this guy in my tournament playing this ready with white, but I don't know if I like it or not. g3 is safe for white, of course. So now Schieberspieler with g6. Snuggles the Snail, welcome. Yeah, Banus 2631. Okay, these are rapid ratings or what? Actually, Schieberspieler. Or those you're over the board like long rating. Oh, you put in the standard ratings. So I don't know what Banus's rapid is. I mean, it's probably similar to his standard. I'm not 2105, so I wrote this. I love those inaccurate rapid ratings. Where, you know, strong players are rated 2100. Whatever. Don't worry about it, man. There's a lot of grandmasters whose like FIDE rated rapid rating is 2100. There's no reason to stress about it. Don't be embarrassed. I've never even played a FIDE rated Blitz game. I don't have a rating in Blitz. Like, all right, so G6, C4 now. Interesting. So this is a little bit of a problem. Actually, one of our subscribers, thanks Bob for resubscribing. Bob is a founder, and he just resubscribed for 42 months. Not sure why my Prime sub discontinued. Discontinuity. You know, move 11 uses move order with black. So C4, you now have to play either D4. You're gonna have to play either D4 or C6 maybe. I don't know if you like D4. I remember I had this game. Oh, by the way, bad news. You saw the Schieberspieler. Most people here wouldn't have known him. But Grandmaster Cham István passed away. He was a regular presence in the Hungarian chess scene in the last like 40 plus years, at least. But the reason I bring it up is because now that I think about it, I had a game with White. My last game with Cham was in a Hungarian team championship. I think we had this. I think I had some kind of ready with István where he played like g6, bishop g7. I was White. I didn't really like my position. Your main repertoire says d takes c4. Yeah, I don't like the look of d takes c4, personally. I mean, with the g6 in, I don't know anything about this, how reliable this is. I like the decision you made to play c6. I mean, this seems like the safest move. There's a high likelihood that you'll transpose some kind of like Fianchetto Grunfeld or something, like Schlechter, Slav, Grunfeld. But he played a really weird move here. I'm just gonna get me a beer. It's really hot here. We're back in the 90s again, and my office is like an oven. But it looks like Banus had a little surprise for you with Queen A4. Okay, this may be in your in your book. I don't know. I'm out of my book. Because again, I wouldn't play Queen A4 here. I mean, I'm gonna like transpose to a Grunfeld, or I would just play like the normal move. Maybe C takes D. So this is a tricky move of some sort where White is like threatening to take on D5. And he also keeps this protected. I have to say though, I mean the move itself, it looks like kind of against principles. So I'm thinking knight f6 and take with a knight on d5. Is that possible? Could you possibly, lose your center, like cd5, knight d5? I know that his queen could probably swing over here to h4. Oh, there's also like the knight f6, cd5. This happened. There's also queen d4. And there's also like queen h4 at some point later on. But it looks like knight f6 isn't commonly played. But honestly, Roland, I mean, Schieberspieler, you're still in preparation here? I don't know. If I played this again, I would go with d4. Okay. You're usually really well prepared, so it's not easy to get you out of book on like move 4. So it looks like d4 is the main move. Wow, there's some high-level games there. Kramnik Topalov 2016. I have never seen this line before, but I don't play the Slav with black. And I would feel weird about playing Queen A4. It looks kind of fishy. Good for a rapid game though. Remember, you can play sketchier stuff. Maybe Banus would play Queen A4 in a rapid game, but he wouldn't necessarily play it in a long game. That's the kind of variation, it increases in value in a fast time control. And exactly, like he got you out of book. So knight d7 is possible. I presume with the idea of sometimes knight b6, cd5. Yeah, knight b6 doesn't work though because of queen d4. So you actually have to recapture here. Optically, White looks better. Kramnik Carlson 2015. This knight is not really well placed. Like slight advantage to White. So you did this. He plays cd5 and that's the game. Alright, so this is kind of symmetrical. Slightly unpleasant position for black. Knight c3 right away, threatening your d5 pawn. Knight f6, blocking the bishop on the long diagonal, but that's where the knight was going to go. I mean, there could be like here. I mean, at least in passing, you think about this move, but it's probably not good. Here, bishop g2, bishop g7, So it's like castle, castle, and we have like a normal English or Grunfeld, but your knight is on kind of a funky square. White has the option to play either d3 or d4, but d3 looks more flexible. I mean, his queen is out of position, but it might gel if it goes to h4. You know, he could support like this kind of piece attack with a sort of classic like queen h4, bishop h6, knight g5. Mr. Coffee, what's up? Good to see you. It's good to be back. So Tomasz played d4, committal. You know, this looks way more flexible. I kind of like that better because white keeps this option to play for a break in the center. This fixes the structure more. But he's saying like your knight is on a bad square. You know, interestingly, on my stream, I've had a lot of games with white in these Grunfelds where Nefedov and some other people, my queen would be on d1. But I will say I've had a number of games where that knight, like people just put it on d7 and it looks really out of position. Then they go like b6, where it's also not a great square, but it does control c4. It just kind of like gets out of the way. So Raleigh didn't like this. I mean, I'm talking all the time about how these knights are badly placed. So you decided to try b6, which was only played by someone named Magnus Carlsen. So Schieberspieler automatically goes from the Magnus Carlsen move. Kramnik Carlsen 2015. I mean, your knight is a problem and has like nowhere to go. It does guard the critical square e5. I mean, you got to make concession either way. This is a badly placed piece. But your bishop can get out, you know. I don't know. Which is better? Be afraid. Welcome, guys. You would have been more or less lost after 95. Oh, I see. Wow. So the huge hole on c6. Oftentimes in these exchange Slav type positions, like there's nothing white can do. I mean, it's tempting to play like here, try to win material. Black clearly has a trick. Does this work though? What are you going to do here? Bishop a6? You just play bishop a6. Keeping an eye on e2. And then you're ready to go with that. You wouldn't play this. Hoping for what? No, bishop f4. That looks awkward. So bishop a6 we can get out. No, that's too direct. White plays 95. Apparently, like Kramnik and Banus both missed this move. Lost is a strong word. But this queen on a4 is actually working here. In some cases it would be out of position, but it actually comes in handy. And white's got threats. Knight takes d5, the long diagonal. If you take, it's a disaster. This d5 just falls. So instead, Banus just develops the bishop f4. I was actually wondering, yeah, you don't have time for a6. So bishop e7. And now you're able to kind of defend. Keep him off of c6. Slowly play like a6, b5. Well, you actually followed the exact game. It's funny, I wonder if Banus knew that game. Rook fc1, the exact move that Kramnik played. Because it's not easy to decide, you know, which rook. But I think here, oftentimes we're thinking about bringing our queen back from experience. So your best move was actually knight b8? Well, there's no way I'm playing that. In which position? You like after bishop b7? Yeah, this is Schieberspieler's game. Like now, maybe. To get the knight back on track. But anyway, rook c1 so the queen can retreat back smoothly without interfering with the rooks. He doesn't want to block his f rook in. You know, knowing that his queen might get kicked out. a6. Are we saying here we want to go knight b8? Oh, on knight e5, the best is retreat. Wow. Oh, snap. So here. Holding on by the skin of your teeth. And that's why you don't put your knight on d7 in the Grunfeld fianchetto exchange variation. Yeah, that looks scary. Black definitely not happy, having lost considerable amount of time. That'll be a tough one to play. So game b6, bishop f4, bishop b7, fc1, a6. And now you're like slightly worse, but he missed his biggest chance. And this follows Kranich Carlsen. So now Kranich played knight e5, kind of standard exchange Slav / fianchetto Grunfeld. This was the game Kranich Carlsen e6, defending d5, then queen b3. I mean, there's no way that like Banos remembers that or something. Like even if he had seen the game, he's human. So he's just playing on his own now for sure. Banos played queen b3 first. I mean, he might remember enough, like, oh, okay, you know, Kramnik had a game where he played like queen a4 back to b3. Couldn't remember the exact order of moves, but this makes sense. It's just that like the queen here still is. It's still possible that it could be uncomfortable later. If you're able to play like b5, bishop, knight b6, knight c4, his queen could end up kind of cramped. Rook c8, knight e5 now, e6, and we transpose back. So Kramnik now playing e3. I mean, that kind of looks like a sign like white doesn't know what to do. Never seen you before. Yeah, he was here. You were here once last couple weeks, right, Bob? But if white plays e3, of course you have to watch out your bishop doesn't get trapped. I can understand Banos not wanting to do that. It doesn't look like e3 is necessary. There's no pressure on d4. So Tamash just buried here with a4, which makes sense. I mean, he wants to restrict black from playing b5. Totally makes sense. It looks like white's slightly better. And now Raleigh just exchanged. I mean, you have to watch out. Like, this could be a move sometimes. Not in this position, probably. Here is bad because of knight e7, and there's these squares. So he has to take with the bishop. And now, trading pieces is good for the side with less space. You join me in my beach-going American days. Yeah, we missed you, Bob. But we want to see you getting back into the royal game again. Getting a little more serious. So unfortunately, you know, black is slightly worse because he has to trade his good b for the bad b. And we stay with the bad b against the good b. But it's not that big a deal. You know, the position is totally symmetrical. I don't think that white's advantage here is easy to really improve. It looks like drawish. Maybe queen e7 to keep an eye on this square. Those squares, like b4. There's still the idea of knight b8 recirculating back. I didn't have time to go over the game. So I don't know if you ended up doing that. But that's a very standard Slav maneuver. You could also go knight f6, knight e8, knight b6. And he did. He did. Banos played e3, and there it is. I mean, he could come to regret this a4 move. Um, Slightly weakening his queen side here. Oh, wow. Definitely didn't expect a5. Arsenal fan. Arsenal fan specialist in Hungarian names. Thanks, man. I had a couple tough games with black where I was in my element, which is like defending. I like defending unpleasant positions. It's always been my specialty. Um, Bob and Arsenal back at the same time. Thanks, Arsenal, following. So I thought White would just kind of hang out here, but what to suggest? What is he supposed to do? It's a little unpleasant. I was thinking like Queen B4, but it's just Knight C6. So I don't know. I don't know what White's supposed to do here. In the end, like whoever gets the entry point is usually better in this type of exchange Slav. I mean, maybe A4 was a seriously bad move. Arsenal said also that was really nice. Also, the game where I sacked the exchange. The game where I sacked the exchange was a kind of miscalculation in a way, because I actually didn't have to do that, but I thought I did. I was getting low on time, and probably what wasn't necessary, but I was panicking. It was lucky that it was okay. So I don't know. White's A4, was like he had to do something, but it's starting to look like. I remember this one game I lost where I started playing moves like Rook C2. I mean, what's the point, right? At the end of the day, I look at this position and this is weak and this is weak. That's what strikes me about the position. Even like B3 is kind of weak. Like if Black's going to go Knight C6, Knight A5, Knight B3. The bottom line is like White has more weaknesses than Black does. Like Black has all these squares covered. Every single square is covered by pawns, almost, So Bonus goes for A5. Alright, maybe he's right. Maybe he's going to like flip the knight to A2, try to go to B4. Here, and now he's put his pawns on the right color. Black's pawns are on the wrong color. But there's a lot of things to think about, like, is he going to be able to put his queen on B4? What's he going to do? Knight A2? Is Black going to have control of the C4 square? Maybe Bonus will have to bring the bishop back to F1. Maybe Roland will win. He'll, like, sack the exchange with Rook C4. Can you do, like, Rook C4, Bishop takes C4, DC4, and then, like, you mate him on the long diagonal on the white squares. Queen A3. I mean, what's he going to do when you play Knight C6? There's your answer. You're threatening B4. So now he could play Knight A2, but he drops his A pawn. But does he? Can we calculate this? Knight A2, Knight A5, you can just rip that pawn, take with the bishop. You can't play Knight A2. A Ricci analysis. The H5, H4 stuff is not relevant right now. And there's too much going on the queen side. Astrobate, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub, our first gift sub of the week. We've been down, no streams much. I had just a couple short streams last week. Thank you, Astrobate, for gifting a sub to Arsenal fan. But, Bonus okay, B4. Now it's all about these support points in exchange Slav. I mean, honestly, like, Bonus is a good player, but he probably doesn't know Schieberspieler really well. And, I feel like, he's not playing maybe like the ideal sort of style to beat Schieberspieler. He would be better off in something more tactical, but he's playing his own game. Queen D6. Probably like a really sharp e4 player is the best shot to be able to beat the Schieberspieler. Got to try to take him out in very like sharp positions. He likes this sort of positional play. Rook b1. 97 now. And again, it's all coming down to those. I like your exchange sack concept. Now, both sides are angling for like a support point knight. Unfortunately, like Raleigh can't get his knight to c4 with his queen on d6. Is this a mistake? I mean, I guess he's starting to play rook c5, right? So I guess he's still better. I mean, would it be insane to play e5? You can't play e5, right? Is this crazy? I just got to at least consider this for a minute. This is crazy, right? I mean, your king is on that diagonal. It would be crazy to do that. Well, no, d5 hangs, but d4 hangs too. It's tactically feasible. But it looks like it's probably just bad structurally. I'm a little bit worried about black here, getting rook c5'd. So he changes, takes, rook c8, rook c5. That's the problem. So your point was then, what's the deal if he gets pawn on c5? Okay. So objectively, like, rook takes c8. Let's say rook c8, knight c8, knight b2, queen c7, knight d3. Let's just see what would happen if, or yeah, let's see what would happen if he just like did this. Take here, queen c7, like knight here, threatening knight c5. You play this. It would be weird, you know, where both sides. White's probably better with the better bishop. But maybe Banos, so maybe that was Banos' error. He naturally played rook c5, wanting to be aggressive. But this gets weak. Yeah, you have to consider queen c2. Does that work in that variation? Like here, here, here. Yeah, objectively, maybe he has to play queen c3 himself. And then you play like queen c6 and trade queens here, knight there, knight there, knight there. I don't know, man. But he's trying to be aggressive. Rook c5, and now if bc5, the a5 pawn is weak. So you got d takes c5, which changes the game. I mean, this bishop could come to life. And Schieberspieler does have a central majority. This changes the game tremendously. I mean, I think his b4 pawn is like a minor liability too. Did you consider playing like queen e5 at all? Probably plays f4. So you went back. You got e5. And he goes for it. And now he's trying to build up on that. No, so it looks like, okay, good positional game. Black's had a slightly worse bishop the whole time. We have some sort of tricks. Here for chess bids. I need to do work, but decided to stop by for a bit. LOL. Wait, who is here for chess bids? Are you a player who was on with another account? Who's known to me? Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering about tactics here. He's a regular from other streams. Okay. So new to me. Wow, okay, so Rolly went for it. That's what I'm talking about. Wow. So we're trading the bad bishop off for the good bishop, and we're getting into chaos land. White will have like 2 connected pass pawns. But you take on f4, so who the heck knows what's going on here, right? I guess queen f3 or something like that. That's what he played. He said, I didn't care all that much here. I didn't want to die. I mean, we have an imbalance in the pawn structure. White's queenside majority. But he's got a good control of d5. So this looks like the best move. I mean, at least superficially. F takes g3. And now, a very surprising move. At least at first glance. Knight e4, but it's a nice tactic against f6. So I expected him to recapture. I'm not sure if there's anything wrong with playing. If there's anything actually literally wrong with playing pawn takes pawn. But again, this is a rapid game. And Banos has played consistently aggressive chess. You do have queen c6, no? Theoretically. This looks like an interesting move. You play that on the next move, but it's possible right away. Defending f6 and blockading d5. I mean, presumably white would have to recapture the pawn. And that would give you time. Maybe give you time to do some damage. He definitely doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play g4. So he had like a 3. He had a 3-to-1 time advantage. You just didn't have your usual online self-confidence. Normally, like, Cheaper Spieler has more time than his opponents. So this looks like it might have been a slight inaccuracy. Okay, now white has time for knight d6 and the d5 pawn. Or rather, knight is hanging. Can you grab the pawn? No, there's a fork. This is a nasty threat. So, had to play queen c6. It holds on. What like white could play knight e8 check, I guess, but it might not really do anything. Knight e8 check with the idea of knight c7. No. If knight e8 check, we take it and we go down, we probably have a million checks. So what does white do? He finally recaptures with the king. So to sidestep, he's sidestepping this knight e3 check. For example, pawn takes, knight e3 check, king f2. I mean, white has a monster c-pawn. So even if you like start attacking pawns, I'm not sure you have to be careful here. I gotta be honest, like I have no idea what's going on here. It may be like white is better after like knight takes b4 d5 or something. Like down a pawn but just like better. These 2 pawns would make me poop myself with 3 minutes left. You definitely don't want to have this endgame against like Magnus Carlsen. Banus is bad enough. But yeah, that was scary. So he takes with the king. That looks good for white. I'm not sure any of it's forced though. I've been trying to avoid using the engine too much. You grab the pawn. And now he avoided the exchange of queens. So if he trades queens, I mean, it still looks interesting. But the problem is, his D is just hit. And on this, you have 97. It's like the perfect storm. You pick up D5 and it's like c-pawn can't get through. Unless you have something here. C6, knight takes, 98 check. This actually might work. King F8, C7. Shoot. 97 and 96. Now B4. I don't think he's in the square of the pawn. That's a strange looking square. That is not gonna cut it. Spectacular Camel, thanks for joining us. Yeah, this is probably winning for black. I mean, this is a tough endgame. If he's got a time advantage, you know, he probably needs to use that time to calculate like some long variations in this type of ending, really. It looks like he was like trying to mate you. You know, he wanted to keep the queens on and play for direct attack. Queen E7. So he doesn't have either push. Momentarily, black's just like defending. White needs to play D5 somehow. So he's setting it up. Very logical move. So far, Schieberspieler's like, you know, queenside majority is, it's the silent majority. Knight C6 now. What else? Attacking A5, but also like on D5, we might be able to go to E5, sort of hanging around in the center and defending. And that's what happened. So, I mean, you got a chance to take this pawn on A5. It must have been tempting to take the pawn on A5. Well, this was a massive tournament, dude. Hungarian Rapid Championship. Probably there were like 20 grandmasters. I don't know. It's an extremely strong tournament. But I mean, how do you decide what to do here? I don't know. 95 maybe safer, keeping his knight away from this check. If his queen goes somewhere funny, you have some threats. So I don't know what's going on here. He just guards G4. And basically black was in time pressure. Gotta be careful not to play Queen C7. He played King F8. If you want to know why, he probably thought about Queen C7 and like realized he drops a queen to 98 check. So King F8, Queen E3, and now attacking H6. Yeah, Bonus is like very focused on the king. Queen C7, Queen F4, and again, like you cannot go to G7, you get 4. So this is like only move. He's like constantly attacking you. And then this looks kind of weird. But he's supporting C6. I mean, he's definitely had the initiative, but he is a pawn down. Queen C7, King G2, getting off the diagonal. Now Knight D3. Uh-oh. Okay, so Queen E4. He didn't play Queen E4. I expected Queen E4 playing for mate here, but it's not mate. That's the problem. So Queen E4 doesn't work. Knight takes C5. Therefore, Queen D4 hitting F6. And then you gave this up, but he got F6. And now King G8, only move. So now it's like a little more clarified. One more pawn exchange is good for black. You got rid of his connected pawns. And he still has one very strong passed pawn. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if white is okay here. But it's starting to look better for Schieberspieler. This pawn is protected passer. White's pawns are isolated. And there doesn't seem to be any immediate threat. Knight E8, maybe that's the move. But he still has Queen F7. Even queen d7. This attacks everything. And Banus doesn't want to draw, but he's maybe gone too far, trying to win this game. Queen d8 guards everything. Now he has a double discovered check. What is this? If knight e8 check, king f8. So now you go back to f8. And you're winning. If he checks you again. So he doesn't have perpetual. He has to play something else. You managed to simplify. So what's going on here? I mean, this pawn is all that matters, right? In a queen ending, you got to be the first guy with a fast passed pawn or girl. But objectively, I mean, Banus has a passed pawn. If he's sensible here, is he losing or is it a draw? I would assume it's a draw. Like he's coming down in 3 moves. Probably you have to make perpetual check, right? Yeah, I mean, if it's my game, I'm just like, move my king back to g3. I don't know. I think he was like too psycho committed to like playing for a win no matter what. I guess he got excited with the time. But white has to be sensible here. I mean, he's just going to drop his h3 pawn with check. You ended up not even taking that. I'm offering a draw if it's my game. I mean, is white... This is a draw, right? It's not like a forced draw. But I mean, white's pawn is 3 squares away from a queen. Your pawn is 4 squares away from a queen. I mean, it's likely that it's a draw. But this seems like he's playing for a win on time. I would think you might be able to grab this pawn. Check. And now b4. So d6. You need a perpetual. Wow, b3. We might get mutual queens. There's no perpetual. b7. This is crazy. b2. If b2, he has king c2, which is kind of unpleasant. Damn, dude. So what are you going to do here? Queen f5 check. Idea queen c2 check. Nice. And now you can play b2. You could play b2 right away. Shouldn't you? Couldn't you? I mean, both sides queen, but it looks like you're out of the woods here. He has like 1 check. He queens, he has 1 check on h6. But that's not a problem. You just go to h5. You should be able to just play b2 now. d8 queen. Black queens. Check on... Oh, he doesn't even have a check. Oh, he has h4. Oops. That could be a problem. Oh, man. I'm not feeling too good right now. Oh, maybe you're alright. You have this. I totally missed the move, though. You're alright. Yeah. Yeah, so you could have played b2. Wow. Probably very low time now. You played this check. So that's fine too, though, because on this move you have queen c1 check. You're not supporting the queening square now, though. So objectively, I mean, what should he play? Like king d1? He has king d1. But you're controlling his queening square now. So theoretically, you could even play like, you could even like play queen a5 maybe. I don't know what's going on. So he plays here, and b2. And he plays queen b6, and you play queen e7 check, winning his d pawn. And you're going to go into like a 3 versus 2 queen ending up a pawn. He lost the pawn with check. And then you queened. And you're up a pawn and a queen ending. This is not what white wanted. Well, it's very bad time pressure. He can't afford to lose this. So he's got to guard like queen c5 here. No. It's hard to guard everything. So what happened? Did he like lose on time or just like resign? My favorite Banus loss was when I played against his team with Salatsi Emil. We played for our team Hobogoy. This is like 10 years ago. And Salatsi was board 2 and I was board 1. And they had a strong team. I don't remember which team it was. But Ribley was playing board 1. And Emil and I was playing board 1 against Ribley. And Salatsi played board 2 against Banus, who was like a 24, I don't know, 75 IM at the time. And so I drew Ribley with black, and Emil beat Banus. I don't remember what color he was. It was a pretty major like accomplishment for like me and Emil to win our top 2 board, to score like 1.5 out of 2 against Banus and Ribley. Anyway, congratulations, Schieber-Spieler, on a win against a very strong player. That was a long analysis, guys. Next up is Asterbait. From 2600 to 19. Asterbait, what is that rating you got? Growing. I guess your technique was leaked. Thanks, Schieber-Spieler, for sharing, man. Good game. Never easy to beat a strong player like that. But Rapid is fun. You know, everyone has a chance, even against strong grandmasters. But, you know, it was objectively a close game, and probably it should be a draw, but, like, you know, White was trying to win, and he took risks too much. That's part of the game. That's how I won both my games with Black. I mean, that's normally how people win with Black. You know, people just go too far with White. So Asterbait is playing White e4, e5, knight c3, bishop c5. So here, queen g4 is a move, right? That's not good. I'm thinking of a different variation. What am I thinking of? Why am I thinking about queen g4 for White? Thanks for sharing, Schieber-Spieler. VIP Schieber-Spieler and VIP Asterbait. Why do I think this is a move? What opening am I thinking of? Sarkar actually played this. How Sarkar is up to 2389. He was never very consistent. American I am. Queen g4, knight f6. Queen g3, that's... Yeah, that doesn't seem right. You know, you don't want to go like queen g4 and then not take on g7. Something about that doesn't look right. What variation am I thinking of? Okay, is it that? Ah. What am I thinking of, Arsenal? I'm thinking of this. And this? I'm thinking of this. Now you clued me in. It's this. It's this. For some reason here, it's very strong. Where it's not strong right away. Hikaru Nakamura. Famed for queen h5. Alright, so bishop c5. f4. I mean, this is a principled move. So we transposed to a king's gambit declined on d6. For some reason, none of Astrobait's opponents can figure that out. Like, every time he's played this Vienna, everybody, like, takes on f4, or they just, like, give up their center. I recommend playing the Vienna. I mean, it's really had a good effect on Astrobait's results. He's, people just don't prepare for the Vienna, at the amateur level at least. They're all, like, prepared for knight f3 based e4, e5, but it seems like no one really knows what to do. It's just not encountered enough. So it's a good practical opening. By the way, I mean, as far as black is concerned, I think that black should play knight f6. Yeah, there's a lot of great players in the history of the game who play the Vienna. A knight f6 is the best move. The man-child. I'm sure that he's becoming more and more of a man-baby. Bob, I would think, like, not playing top-level chess and just being, like, this streamer all the time, you would become more of, like, a hypersensitive man-baby. I think, like, getting knocked around, playing the best players in the world probably keeps you in your place, ego-wise, whereas, like, just hosting a chess show, you could become like a Fox TV commentator very easily, for example. Alright, but anyway, f4, knight c6, this is bad. We've seen this a lot. There are some interesting lines, but it's still, pawn takes pawn here. It's just, yeah, he's in a bad way. By the way, pawn takes pawn here. Queen h4 check. This is like ultimate Steinitz. The ultimate Steinitz King's Gambit. We're like up a tempo. The Steinitz King's Gambit with an extra move. So here, and now we need to talk about this again. If pawn takes pawn, it's like the Baltic defense on the other side of the board. There is a funny variation here. Arsenal said you play this as white. There's a very funny variation here. Knight takes e5. Wasn't this it? Wasn't there some craziness here? No, I'm thinking of something else. You can't do that. Yeah, he's just screwed. On the Barbie. I thought of off-track betting, man. I mean, if you're from New York City or something. OTB was always, betting on the horses. That's an old one. So knight c6, knight f3, knight f6, and what? Okay, black just like doesn't seem to have a clue. Again, you have to play d6. This is a King's Gambit declined. This is like, what happened to my e-pawn? Dude, that's game over. Here, d4. Game over. There's nothing here. There's no queen h4 check. We just play g3. Astrobait's just up a piece. And then he just traded off his dark square bishop. Barbecue. So black is just hopeless. Man. I guess he should castle. This is even worse. Rook f8. Now, Astrobate has a problem with getting carried away and not completing his development. Here he goes again. You've got like most of your pieces on the back rank, and it's move 10. Bishop e5 check is very strong because on bishop d7 you have queen g4, as Arsenal was attesting to. He would have to play king e7, and life would not be very pleasant after knight d5. So bishop e5 is basically game over. What I don't like about what Astrobate did, he's kind of playing for cheapos with this move, and he's not developing his pieces. Spectacular Camel, thank you for subscribing. No, this is a developing move. Not like just this game. I've seen a lot of Astrobate's games where he seems to get to do that constantly. Move 8, move 9, move 10. He's not developing the rest of his pieces. He gets in this habit of moving the same piece twice. And I think that's a little bit of the same thing here. Your whole army is like sitting on the back rank. And that's a bad recipe, you know. You need to get the pieces out. I mean, even just bishop e2 is basically game over for white. There's a lot of good moves. But this looks dangerous, you know, in the respect that you're not bringing your pieces out. Bishop e6. Now the check, unfortunately for black, is even stronger. Now it's absolutely obliterating. Bishop e5 check. And above aforementioned variation, let's see. So now you have this, this, and this. That's cute. Easiest way to do things. We just win the piece with like knight f6 check. We're up 2 pieces in an endgame, no problem. Knight d5, keep it simple. Here, I don't know, for some reason Astrobate didn't see this check. He has a blind spot there. Bishop g5. You know, this is maybe also good. If f6, obviously there's that, man. That's just brutal. But black has queen a5 check. Now b4 looks strong. I mean, basically, the problem for Astrobate is that he doesn't take his time. He's playing a classical game here, and he's used 1 minute for the first like 12 moves. That is not really good time management. Time is a resource. Use as much as you can. Knight c3 retreating. I mean, b4, okay, it's a little risky. You don't have an immediate knockout, and it looks like queen a3, for example, knight c7 check, king d7. There's still a chance for this to go wrong. Alright, so he played knight back, dropping his bishop. Okay. Objectively, you have to play either b4 or queen trade or bishop d2. But Astrobate, you're up a piece, man. You're up a piece. Alright, so here, h6, and now bishop g5. It's over. That is aesthetic. Finally, so bishop d7 is forced. Bishop d7, bishop d7, king d7. This move, I mean, I wouldn't even consider it. Bishop h6. But if you calculate, I guess it's alright. You're not threatening anything. I mean, queen takes g4, he's gonna trade it. Alright. I guess it's good enough. He doesn't have a good move. There's none of this because of queen f7. I guess it's not that bad. He has to trade it. Take, rook h8 here. Sensible. castle queenside, and it's over. As they say in Massachusetts, it's over. Again with the knight d5. Brutal mate. Dude didn't do it. There's no mate. He has king c8. You would win his queen though. Queen g5 check, king here, knight e7. This move looks sloppy. Yeah, very sloppy. You're on b7 though, so he has to defend. He just didn't see it. Alright, Astrobate, take your time. You play too fast. I think you need to like set some kind of rule for yourself. Like so many people who I encounter on the stream, on Lichess. I guess you have to set some kind of rule, man. You're not allowed to not use at least half your time. You have to do something to control this, like, playing too fast. You still won the game, but it was sloppy. You have 26:30 left out of 30 starting minutes. You know, okay, be reasonable, but at least use, like, half your time in your games. 15 minutes, like it was a berserk or something. Try to sit on your hands, somehow learn to use more time, because you're not taking your time. You have the potential to play even better, and you're just rushing, and I don't know why, whether it's because of nervousness or because of carelessness, or why. Why are you rushing so much? I get really nervous when I'm winning, more so than when I'm losing. There's something about that moment of like being on the precipice of victory that makes us kind of nervous. And you know, I understand if that's the feeling that gets to you, that makes you like kind of rush, because a lot of people have a tendency to lose. I have a tendency to lose good positions more often. I'll blunder in like winning positions more often. All right, so we got Tezek up next. Thank you guys for subscribing. Bob, Spectacular Camel. We had a gift sub from Astrobate for Arsenal fan. We have any other submissions? I've got 4 games for today. Tezek versus Londoner. Are you serious? Wait, what? Oh, a Londoner. That's funny. There was a game that Yabatis played that's not submitted for today. But Yabatis played an opponent named Londoner. Like, that was the name of his opponent. I thought it was like you were playing the same guy. It's kind of funny. What are the chances? Mr. Coffee, I would like to submit your 8th round game, if you don't mind. It's like an oven in here. Okay. Mr. Coffee, can you grab that game and submit it? It's no problem though. I can just add it myself. Did Londoner play London? Because that way, like, Yabatis, you can send it to Yabatis. He can put it in the stream. My 8th game for my tournament. Yeah, I thought about doing a game for my tournament, but I usually like to give you guys the option to analyze what you want. I thought you played a player named Londoner. The Londoner didn't play London in that game. This guy was a Londoner, not named Londoner. He played d4, knight f6, bishop f4. So, I feel like the London is more justified, in a way, against d5. I mean, like, I don't think Akiba Rubinstein, like, played bishop f4 against knight f6. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, I could be wrong. But you have to stop and think, like, there's a big difference here. After d4, d5, black's put the pawn on a white square. His dark squares are a little bit weaker. This move makes a bit more sense. Black doesn't have that much, like, flexibility with his pawns. For me, you know, this is like, okay, it's reasonable. You're putting a bishop on f4. This diagonal is a little bit weaker. But something about, like, just randomly putting your bishop on f4. When black can adopt a pawn structure like d6, c5, a dark square pawn structure, or something like g6, d6, e5. I don't think that I respect this, you know, bishop f4 against knight f6 as much as I do, say, d4, d5. It's just not as justified. I'd like to play d6, for example. All right. But c5 is one of the main moves. There is a complicating factor here with c5. And the Simon Williams, I know, has analyzed this. What your opponent does here. You know, this is at least, like, probably critical. Most of the London players traditionally would go e3. That's like the standard London move. Our favorite variation with Asterbait is like knight f3, pawn takes pawn, knight takes, and e5. By the way, that's the Asterbait trap. Winning a piece. But obviously white should defend their center. But a lot of beginners like fall for that kind of trap. Alright, so c5 is a sharp move, but it does allow d5. Now keep in mind, I brought up Simon Williams. Simon Williams is, you know, he's a bandwagon kind of guy. He's on the London bandwagon. But he also used to be on the Trompowsky bandwagon. And so when you go with the d4, d5, there are variations in Trompowsky where it's like queen b6, bishop c1. You know, so we can actually get a transposition to the Trompowsky. It could have come from g5. You know, these variations can be both London or Trompowsky. Yeah, annoying maybe. No, I mean, I don't like snake oil salesman types. Alright. But d5, okay, it's subjectively a creative move. What I like about d5, though, I'll say, like, what I don't like about the London is these robotic style players who play it. At least with d5, by playing in more of a Trompowsky style, white is showing a little bit of more creativity than normal. So queen b6 is a main move. This reminds me of the ready, but black is playing the ready down a tempo. I don't know, you know, where the jury is on this. I will say this, I think c5 is kind of a risky variation. You have to calculate and study it pretty deeply. I'm always like very scared of these lines where, you know, we try to grab this pawn on b2. It's very sharp. You best not go into these kind of variations unless you really have memorized a lot of theory. Moves like knight a3, grabbing the pawn on b2, it's extremely dangerous. Or knight c3, and again, grabbing the pawn on b2. I was analyzing this with someone. Now I can't remember who it was. There was interesting variation, just not taking the pawn, for example. Alright, so let's see what happened here. Yeah, I mean, but b3 is like the worst move on the board. This is what beginners who don't know anything will play. This move contributes nothing to white's position, other than like not losing a pawn, but it weakens his position on the dark squares. The guardian of dark squares is out on f4. So your bishop's out on f4, and now you're creating dark square weaknesses behind. Black has never lost a game in this position. No, for example, knight on bd2. You know, you could probably play this. Oh, no, this probably drops the d4. Never mind. You can't even play knight d2, because you would drop the central pawn. Okay, let's say knight f3, and then if queen b2, then we go here. Alright, this is a reasonable way to do it. Even here, like, white has reasonable compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Anyways, d5 here. So you're basically playing a kind of Benoni setup where white's bishop's on f4. However, if, let's say, like c4, Popov versus Rachmanov, whoever Popov M is, not the Grandmaster, Popov. b5 is interesting. Peter Wells, 2018. c4 is possible. And if you play routinely, you're going to end up in a modern Benoni or something like that. Okay, so this is better. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm thinking, like, objectively you should play queen b6. d6 looks kind of Schmid-Benoni-esque. You might just be slightly worse here. The question becomes, like, how good is the bishop on f4 against the Schmid-Benoni? That's essentially the key question. Yeah, it looks like objectively queen b6. But as I said, you don't have to take the pawn. So here, there's this e6 move. That's a different position. What was I thinking? I guess here you do have to take the pawn. And now you transpose to Trompowsky. Yeah, I don't like this, actually. Maybe on d5 we have to try something else. Yeah, d6. You're right. Okay, so on knight c3, what do we do? e5. That's what you played. Okay. So it's like a free move in the Czech Benoni / Schmid Benoni. Yeah, I guess it's alright. c5, d5, d6, knight c3. He played the best move. Now e5's best move. Bishop g5 is a bad move. So his only good square for the bishop is like d2. But honestly, in this type of... Actually, maybe he should go to c1. This is not stupid. Alexeyev played it. The idea is that your knight goes to c4 in this type of position anyway. Here, 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 and I meant to say here. Knight f3, knight d2, knight c4. If you put the bishop on d2, you can't transfer your f3 knight to c4, which is like standard. So he played e5. I mean, you played e5. He took, and this has apparently been played by a lot of people. So you could take with a pawn. It's always safer to take with a piece. It creates less pawn weaknesses. In general, that's a good rule to follow. Pawn moves create weaknesses. So when you have a choice between a recapture, like bishop takes e6 and f takes, generally the piece capture is usually the safer option. I would think like white would play e4 now to keep the d5 pawn at bay. No, it's even possible for you to play d5. But he plays this, which is just like handing you d5. And it seems like that might be a strange move to play. White might have knight b5. So if this right away here... Now we have a problem. We have play knight a6, and we'll never be able to get this face hugger off our position. Got to be careful about that. So if we had time to play rook c8, everything would be alright. We play knight c6 with the idea of d5. Objectively, like, I don't know what he should do. Maybe bishop e5? Or even e4 down a tempo. If he lets you play d5, you're going to have a very good game now. Black will be better. Because you can meet knight b5 with rook c8. So instead you played bishop e7. I guess it's a little slower. Now, knight f3. I mean, this gives you knight h5. It may not be that great, though. Like, for example, knight h5, knight d5. You still get to keep control of the d5 square. Objectively, though, probably white would go here. Give up the bishop pair. And then you could play, like, d5. Still not that 100% safe. Check here, knight e5. I guess you're fine, though. It looks like black's alright. Queen d6. Now you're finally threatening to overrun him with d5. The battle for the center is essential here. So, if I'm white, I mean, I'm seriously thinking about playing e4 again. But he just plays this. And I mean, I don't know, man, but after this, I think only black can be better. I wouldn't give him another chance to correct his mistake. Let's see what the engine says. d5. That's it, man. I mean, that's it. I know, because you play d6 and you're thinking, okay, fundamental principles say don't move the same pawn twice. But I mean, this is too important. After d5, he's lucky if he's equal, you know. I don't even really like the placement of his bishop on d3. Maybe he should just play this and be willing to give it up. Play it like a Slav where he like trades off his bishop or something. Fight for the center. But objectively, his best move is probably e4. You know, before it's too late. Here, 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 and now definitely d5. Although now, you know, castle's queenside, you're all over him. This is game over, man. Like here, here, and white resigns. Okay, maybe it's not that bad, but no, his bishop's trapped. Jeez. He trapped his own bishop with c4. Oh my god. You didn't see it. That's like the French. Acerbate just gifted a tier 1 sub to the community. Congratulations to Gita B. Usually a quiet watcher. This is a lesson for you, Teze. You're not calculating enough. Just like Acerbate doesn't take his time. And we all have our fundamental sort of flaws. You're playing a good, basic, principled game, but you're not calculating. You're not even stopping to calculate. You have to calculate forcing moves. This is also strong, you know, the idea of playing d4. By the way. Oh, you didn't have c4. I'm sorry, you didn't play d5. I'm sorry, I got crazy. I was thinking you had already played d5 and you missed winning a piece. Alright, sorry. I'll be alright when the smoke clears. So you castled, he played queen e2. You didn't actually have c4. You had to play d5 with the threat of c4. Now we'd have to like move his queen again, not to lose a piece. And then you don't necessarily play c4. It depends. Okay, I was saying, yeah, you played rook e8. Right. And now, well, he's in a bad way here. I don't know what to recommend. Probably like bishop e5, choose another square here. This is suicide. I think it's really bad now. I want to get this position against like Jabava or something with black. I mean, I don't know, man. His king is in the firing line. The b pawn coming down, the central advance, the queen like almost untouchable. Maybe he has this. And on like d5, he has this. But even that's hopeless, right? You need a square for your queen. It's a problem. This is bad. This is bad. There's some tricky things here, but you probably have queen b4. What is tactics? Some tactic. Nothing works. It looks like white's lost. Or like at least like, yeah, basically lost. Wow. Don't see a move there for white after knight a4. Obviously knight a4 is a bad move, but I was thinking, what does he do? Alright, so knight d2 doesn't work. What did you do? You did play queen a5. Congrats. He plays king b1. And now, yeah, we'd like to play b5. But he's triple protected. The only thing is, like, maybe this open file is just too strong. I mean, the open file could be devastating. This line. I'm just saying, let's take a look at b5. If he takes with the bishop, you have this really devastating move, knight e4. Is it truly devastating? That's the question. Maybe not. I think it's devastating. Now, if only he could escape. But can he actually escape? Queen a3, c4. Oof. Queen a3. Just, this is like hypothetical analysis. But I'm saying, like, alright, what happens now? How is he not getting mated here? Between a2, the fact that his king is trapped in the center, and rook b8, I don't think that it's possible to defend this position. Knight d2, b3, Morales. Love you, man. But that doesn't cut it here. Check. Check. The old queen a2. Good to see Morales here. Back. Another VIP. This looks like it works. Alright, so that variation wins. Knight e4 is like devastating. So the other line is where he takes with a knight, but that's not even possible. Damn, dude. b5 is just game over, isn't it? No. So we missed something. We missed something, damn. Knight e4 has a flaw. He just takes. Damn it. He just takes. I'm just lying to you guys. It doesn't work. God damn it, Jerry. It doesn't work. Alright. Alright. It's not a forced win. We have to play rook b8. It's not so easy. So the best move was d5. The threat of winning a piece here. Aspirate another gift sub. Thanks here for Chessbids. Don't be afraid to tell me, guys, if I'm hanging a piece. Sometimes we get a little too creative, and the heat in this room is like frying my brain. So, despite coming off a tournament where I had a pretty good result, I was in an air-conditioned room. Right now, that is not the case. So d5 is still good. a6 is good. And now white lost his mind completely. Boom. And that's why you shouldn't play the London system. If you think that's a good move... Alright, he's desperately trying to control the f5 square. Alius D. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I mean, White's in big trouble here. The slow motion b5, b4. His bishop is about to get trapped. He tries for knight f5. I mean, first of all, black could play like g6. You know, if he wanted to. This is fine, by the way. Just embarrassing the knight on h4. Here, double threat of c4 and b4 in a lot of positions. Now this, and you just tear it open with b4. This is over, man. His king is pried open with the b5, b4. That's why you don't castle queenside in the London system. And even this sort of pseudo... Even the pseudo Jabavo London brings back memories of my game against Jabavo where I beat him in a really dubious game. But I had perpetual check on his king on the queen side, and he like lost on time. But it always seems to be about this king coming under attack first. The king is just not safe here. It belongs over here on like g1. Where do you want your king? Oh, I think I'll put it on b1. Great game by Tezek. Takes. Now knight takes looks strong as well. This is very strong. And then he just like collapses. So he has to try to move the knight to e4, I guess. This is the only move. But he's dropping... Yeah, he's not dropping a piece. Ironically, like White's knight is hanging on h4. But this knight will be hanging on c6 at the end of the day. So like take. Probably White's king is fried anyway. I mean like check, king c1, bishop f6, and I don't anticipate White lasting very long there. Well, maybe he could try to run away. Question is, can he get away long term? No, it looks very dangerous for White. So I assume this is a winning position yet to be accurate. Let's see, knight e4, only move. Knight e4, bishop f4. So the timing is essential, bishop f6 first. This is computer analysis. I mean, like, even like putting your bishop on c3 might mate him. If you just like could make a move right now. Black to move in this position, like bishop c3 might be a forced win. Asprey, thank you for the gift subs today. I had a message from somebody on Lichess. I'm sorry, on Twitch. We'll get to that later. If anybody has like an urgent message, feel free to send me a message on Lichess. But best in the Twitch chat. So, urgent messages rather not on Lichess. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's over. He plays knight a2 though. I mean, this is just not even a question. Now black's just up a piece. And the white king is getting flushed out. Literally flushed out. So don't take any chances here. Up a piece. You want to trade pieces, ideally. Play solid chess. Trading queens. It's not about being macho, like checkmating people. Just win the game, you know. There's no extra points for winning by mate. You got to be practical when you're up material. Try to simplify, avoid any kind of accidents. I've lost enough winning positions to realize that it's more important to be practical. This was a good game by you. And again, he just exchanges a lot of stuff. The knight's hanging. This is an exchange. White never had a chance. It's over. Now these two bishops are like Ginsu. G6 a good move. And just trade. No way to go wrong here. Passed pawn. He hung his rook. Alright, man. Good game. So Yabatis is up next. Our faithful helper for the subscriber stream. Thursdays. Thank you for putting this together. Then we'll do my game. Then we will do my game. The Tricky Mole. I thought it said the Tricky Motel. Thanks, Teze. Good game. Nice to see people destroying the London system. Alright, so this is Yabatis, our assistant, otherwise known as Spectacular Camel. Also, thanks for subscribing today. Asprey, thank you, man, for the gifts. The Tricky Mole, who I think is new here. Just got a sub. So we're back, guys. Yabatis playing b3. This is his latest development in the opening. But there's nothing wrong with b3. I personally have a bad score with this. Slaggy opponent in that game was Sicilian Killer, by the way. Game 8. b3, d5, bishop b2. You looked up his games, you mean? So it's interesting. This isn't a very common move. I've actually played this a few times for black. But I guess there's nothing wrong with knight to c6. I mean, objectively, you're like blocking your c-pawn from influencing the center. I mean, I generally say don't do that in most cases. In the queen pawn type of position, but it's not clear this is a queen pawn type of position. White's playing a hyper modern game. So I don't know. I mean, nothing wrong with knight c6 objectively. e3, and now normally we would see black playing e5, but that's not, that's simple. White can influence the center. It's like a reversed Owen defense where White's up a tempo. Shiva Spieler, good to see you back. Thanks for rejoining us. But I mean, I would think, honestly, once you play knight c6, you're trying to support e5. Instead, he plays this, Chigorin type of setup. The other possibility is a6. Surprisingly, no one played that, but I mean, from my perspective, it sort of makes sense. I like Petrosian style idea. Petrosian style. Donated you some, and gotta go now. Donated money. Zell Poker, thank you. Everyone enjoy the stream. So Excel Poker made a donation. Very, very big shout out to Zell Poker for that. Thank you. He cannot stay with us, unfortunately. We'll see you later. I'm going back to my usual schedule for next week. I may have to go to Romania in August for a week, but situation is not clarified yet. I'll let everybody know as soon as I know. We will be streaming next week, absolutely normal schedule, or the rest of this week, I should say, as well. So tomorrow morning, Friday, we've got a Blitz stream, 11 a.m. CEST. Sunday, Simul, 6:30 p.m. CEST, and then Monday, and the rest of next week, you know, normal schedule. So anyway, a6 I played, e5, you know, is like mainline Nimzovich. But he decides to play like bishop f5, so we basically have another Jabavo London obsessed person with black now. I mean, frankly, like, thanks, Mr. Coffee. Frankly, like, the Jabavo London is not a great setup in general. The Dunst opening, if you like. But I mean, with black a tempo down, it's even worse, I would think. So, you've got options here. I mean, bishop b5, knight f3. I really would like to stop black from playing e5 if I can. But he's got another plan in mind, c4. This seems a bit weird. I mean, considering that black has these sort of ideas coordinating on the white squares, I don't know about c4. I'm going to turn off the engine because it's too easy to be like too reliant on that. I wasn't really paying attention to it. But in any case, yeah, I think this isn't even the main issue. Now that I think about it with a clear head, the c4 is no good here because of d4. I think you got a problem. You got a problem, man. It's kind of like a Queen's Indian. A bad Queen's Indian. When you let the opponent plead, yeah, this doesn't look good. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially like a kind of reverse Benoni, but you definitely don't normally want a fianchetto. It's a bad Queen's Indian. Basically, what a bad Queen's Indian becomes is like a Benoni, like a bad Benoni. I don't think we want to do this. Now, if you could somehow like force him to trade off or make a concession, but I think he'll just support his center. I'm afraid that we're just like slightly worse now. Maybe more than slightly. So it looks like c4 was a bad choice now. You have to choose knight f3, bishop b5, you know, d4 is even possible. d3, you could play a hippo if you want to. Oddly, like, this position arose 3 times and black has a perfect score, but they're not high-rated players. Though Antipov lost, he was relatively young back in 2014. c4 is a big mistake. So he misses d4, and this is atrocious. Trading off his central pawn. It might not even be that bad. I mean, he still has the knight b4, knight d3 idea. But it's definitely not as good as d4. You can meet knight b4 with knight a3 if you have to. I'm surprised he doesn't go for it. I mean, it's crazy. Beginners like love to do this kind of stuff. Why would black play this sort of setup with like bishop f5 if he's not going to play knight b4? I mean, the big problem with that is always like queen a4 check, but you can't do queen a4 check here. Why play like bishop f5 and knight c6 if you're not going to stick your knight on b4? I mean, there's some really crazy stuff you could try, like this. Jabava would probably go off. Somehow I don't think that's sound. Or like queen f3. Obviously, like e6 here could be kind of problematic. I wonder if that's for real. There's some c3 Sicilians and some... You know, I wonder if this might actually be real. Maybe he's actually in trouble here. Knight d3 check. Wow. Okay, so what's the point? Like e6, queen b7. He's got the king crawl. It's like a pub crawl. Rook b8. Yeah, this isn't clear. Okay, so that's basically very messy. But c4 was a mistake. It's the Sicilian. You gotta watch the knight b4, knight b5. Actually, Ubatis knows how to play the lines of the Sicilian. I mean, you're acutely aware of the idea of a3 on the black side, or a6 on the black side of the Sicilian. You could get some funky stuff going on. Maybe like queen g5. Bishop f1. Triple exclam. Emery Tate. No, I don't know. King f1. This would be fun. So knight f3. Okay, there's some complications. If knight b4, knight d4, knight d3 check, bishop d3, bishop d3. I'm not quite sure, but I don't like losing my white squared bishop. What's my favorite move? So man, who has time for h6 in a position like this? Dude. Oh, d takes c. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. So there's no time for h6. I mean, after that, white's just clearly better. Speaking of the devil, I said he knows how to play a3. There it is. And now white just owns the center. Welcome to my central majority. But it's not so easy. I mean, he has a good grip on these squares. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to really take advantage of that central advantage. But I don't know what else to do. You could play it differently with a hedgehog. You could revert into a hedgehog here with like bishop e2, d3, queen c2, castles, blah blah blah. Technically, what you don't want to do is like get your bishop trapped outside the structure. But that move is probably even playable. Alright. I anticipated him putting his bishop on d6. This seems like an idea. The only thing is, if he puts his bishop on d6 and white plays knight e5, the situation may arise where like black can't play knight takes knight because pawn takes forks his pieces at f6 and d6. So by playing the more passive move, he keeps the option open to like trade off a knight on e5. Here, castle, castle. a6. Basically, it's a Queen's Gambit accepted now by transposition. Rather, almost normal position. But normally, like, black plays the bishop on g4. Here it's kind of effective. Rook e1. This is okay. I guess queen e2. Leaves your bishop rather short of squares. I guess rook e1 is nice. You might be able to come back with your bishop to f1. There you go. And check out this diagonal. Double fianchetto. How's your white square diagonal? I mean, b5 is atrocious. This like positionally losing. Virtually like losing strategic move. Weakening black along the c-file. He's got very little control of c5. If he can't play c5, he has nowhere good to put his knight. He's just going to get pulverized. Yeah, I mean, this is horrible. I guess knight e4. Trying to stop e4 and avoid getting rolled over and run over and trying to trade pieces. If he could trade some pieces, he'd probably be alright. Knight e4 looks like practical best try. I mean, if you can't physically stop white from playing e4, then you've got to go here. An alternative would be like retreating with bishop h7, but I mean you're rolling in the center now. This looks really bad for black. He has literally no control of the center whatsoever. White just owns the center. It's chess. That's game over. I mean, at a high level, that's game over. So b5 is terrible. Here, queen d5. Physically stopping e4. Okay. It also protects his knight. So that's a good try. Okay, credit for queen d5. This move might keep him alive. However, you know, long diagonal. g3. This is the obvious move. Cheesemate just subscribed. Cooking Rooks just subscribed. Awesome. Cooking Rooks subscribed to tier 3. Thank you guys for coming back. I'm back for good now. Getting the chess. I got the over the board chess out of my system. And I feel better. It's just notification. Dude, g3, bishop g2, and you got him on the long diagonal. Instead, Yabatis played this trying to force through e4, but I mean, nobody in the right mind is going to let you, you know, just go e4 on him. Famous last words. Nobody in their right mind is going to let you just go e4 on him. I mean, the guy practically has to play knight e4 now. It's like the only move that doesn't get wrecked. Literally. There's no knight h4. It's guarded. His queen is like untouchable on d5. White's still better, but it's not easy to win the game. Would be the point. So I think he made a slight mistake there. I might be wrong, but I think this would be better to go g3. Then on knight e4, you can go bishop g2. I guess it's still not that convincing. But I don't know what he's supposed to play there. You know, like here, he's like just screwed. I think that was slightly better. But he walked right into this. Game over. Losing a piece. He's got a couple pieces for a pawn, but, you know, this is the major leagues, man. 2 pieces for a pawn doesn't cut it. I like used to long ago tell the story of this guy at the Boylston Chess Club in Boston. Some Russian amateur who used to believe that pieces were really worth 2 pawns. The amazing thing about the guy was that he was able to maintain a rating of something like 2,000, which was astonishing. You know, if you have this perception that pieces are worth 2 pawns, it's pretty amazing to be able to be like 2,000. If somebody along the line didn't inform him that pieces were basically worth like 3 pawns, and still to be able to maintain a 2,000 rating and believing that fake news is impressive. Remember, I played him once. Don't remember how it went. I think he did his usual thing. So it's over. Black just falls apart. Goodbye, b-pawn. Goodbye, cruel world. Like, obviously you just snarf this pawn on b5. I'm feeling kind of materialistic today. I guess, I don't know. It's an important pawn, man. You don't want that coming down, like ruining your life. Yabatis is not a materialistic player, but I mean, this is almost like a defensive move. That queenside majority is going to do some damage if you let this pawn come down. I am not hesitating. Oh, I guess there's a trap I didn't see. There is a problem. Black exchanges queens and then he has bishop c2. Crap. Winning the exchange. There's no squares for our rook. That is a serious issue. You know, we might still have a way out, unbelievably. But nah. Alright, we can't allow that. Then you have to take with the knight, dude. Then we do it this way. We'll do it my way. No, you have to take the pawn. I'm not letting those pawns come down. Take the pawn, it's over. This is over, dude. He has one pawn for a piece. Yeah, Schieberspieler spotted it immediately. Bishop c2. I'm getting like delayed reaction here on the Twitch. Because I'm tuned into Twitch, it's kind of laggy. We don't expect you to miss that. You gotta take it with the knight. So Schieber... I'm sorry, Yabatis instead played this. But it looks like... You know, like b4 or something. My head started to hurt. And I'm not sure. I don't want to give him that. You know, after b4 it starts to get a little crazy. Like pawn takes, queen takes. This is not that clear. His pawns are out of control. Are you sure you really want to deal with that? We're probably still winning, but it's definitely like a little scary. So keep it simple. He played bishop g4, which doesn't do anything. You better take that pawn on b5, man. Now you take it. That's the end of black's counterplay. And then there's a huge fork on e5. I mean, he had rook e7, but black has bishop takes f3. So this is better. And we're winning a piece, right? Goodbye. Take your pick. Knight or bishop. Both good. Easy win. And that's nice. Your standard 2 bishops up. Rook e7 is murder. This is also good. But objectively, this might be better. Because like on rook f7, you have bishop takes f5. No, it doesn't work. I don't know. Yabatis didn't mess around. Nice. Blockade. That passed pawn, his extra pawn on d5. Solidly blockaded by 2 extra bishops. I think we've got it under control. Rook b3. And now we're playing for mate. Alright, man. Good game. So chapter 5 was submitted. That looks familiar. Alright. So this is my last game. Not my last game. My last real game. Because I had a quick draw. Which was a real game, but it was just 10 moves. My last game from the IM tournament, guys, was really important, round 8, because my opponent, Agustin Juhas, had a chance for the IM norm. He had to win his last 2 rounds. But let's put it this way. The last round opponent was much weaker than him, and he would have a tremendous chance to beat them. But he was playing against me essentially like he had good confidence he was going to win the last round, but he had to beat me for his IM norm. And I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this opponent. I was tired. I'd been out the night before with a friend of mine. We had like 3 glasses of wine, and I didn't really have a lot of energy to prepare the next day like I normally would. It's funny, I thought the worst thing I could play against this guy was the Marazzi. Basically, when I first started to look at him as a player, my thought was, much like Schieberspieler, he's quite good technically, and probably against a strong technical player, you don't really want to play the black side of the Marazzi. But there's a specific reason why I decided to do it. First of all, I know the Marazzi really well, the black side. And secondly, he had another game against the player earlier in the tournament where he won a model game with white in a variation I know very well. where the opponent played like kind of a stupid move or a risky move that isn't very good. So without a lot of time to prepare, I thought I could get very deep in the opening, like 20 moves deep, without using any time, and then like, probably be slightly worse in a position where I just can defend and get a draw. Um, let's say. But he surprised me with something unusual. By the way, my opponent in this game has two older brothers who are titled IMs, and he's like been heavily trained by his brothers. He's stronger than his rating in some respects, as far as like knowledge and stuff. He needs more practical experience, but a dangerous player. So e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6. I ran the risk of running another like Rossalimo, which I had just had in the previous game, but I'm pretty well practiced there. The guy who won the tournament made an IM norm. I don't know how many norms he has. By the way, like, I was unlucky that I got the strongest player in the first round with black, with no time to prepare. You can't really draw a worse pairing in the first round than what I did. Like, I always get black 5 games out of 9 whenever I play in a closed tournament. It was kind of messed up. Like, we went to draw lots, and when you draw a high number, you get 5 whites. I mean, when you draw a high number, you get 5 blacks. When you draw a low number, you get 5 whites. And, like, everybody drew the numbers. Like, halfway through, all the low numbers were gone. So I basically, like, had to get 5 blacks. So I get black against the strongest player in the tournament. He just had a very good result in the GM tournament, that guy who won my tournament. I didn't know that, like, going into it. Farrago, I don't know. He's in his 70s. He played pretty well in this tournament. So I had no idea that my first round opponent made a very good result in the GM for Saturday or whatever, like right before this tournament. It was a silly loss, actually. I shouldn't have lost the first round either. I blew like a totally drawing position. But anyways, d4. So yeah, the tournament was a success in a sense that Karthik Gayan got an IM norm, but nobody else did. But my opponent here could have, if he had beaten me and like crushed his last round opponent, which he did. The only problem is he didn't beat me. Okay, knight takes d4, g6. I expected the Marazzi because he played it earlier. And really nice game. Bishop e7, bishop e3. This is an interesting move. Queen b6. I haven't prepared that. So here I played knight f6. I played all different variations. Knight c3, castle, bishop e2. But by the way, I think my opponent here had a lot of things to worry about. Like, he had to prepare for me. He had to allow me to play the black side of the classical. I think he probably expected me to play the classical Sicilian. If I had more time, because I had no games. The big problem was, like, I couldn't find a single game where this guy faced the classical Sicilian. Not one. I looked through, like, tons of his games. I don't know his online accounts. He's, like, secretive. He must have an online account. If I had more time, I could have probably dug it up. But I basically had no evidence of what he plays against the classical. I knew what he would do if I played the accelerated dragon. So I decided to play it. Castle. But by the way, against Schieberspieler and others, I have a number of recent games where I played this variation with knight g4, queen g4, knight d4, queen d1, and e5. Why didn't I ask you for his online username? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just was busy and I didn't have time and I wasn't sure or even really, I don't know. Maybe he's like your friend or something. I mean, it's kind of weird. I don't know. Like, who's friends with who, and like, should I ask somebody specifically? I just didn't really have enough time anyway. But I did anticipate that he would be one of my most difficult opponents. He was one of the only players that I actually took the time before the tournament to take a look at his games, even before the tournament started. But I think he probably expected me to play this Schieberspieler. If he prepared, like, properly, I had the game with Geher. Copan Gayer. I had like online games with you. You know, it would be like foolish for him to not expect me to play this. So that's like the first thing. The second thing is he had to be prepared for the black side of the classical Sicilian. Thanks, Erica SP. So I thought I caught him off guard. Like he didn't expect me to play like this old main line of the Marazzi, and he just had a game this exact variation. So I thought that for sure we would have the same game he had won earlier in the tournament: castles, knight d4, bishop takes, bishop d7, queen d2, bishop c6, f3, a5, and I might as well reveal my preparation now, which was like b3, knight d7, bishop e3, knight c5, rook b1, queen b6, rook after c1. And this was his game from earlier in the tournament, which everyone knows. I mean, this is a very famous line. Rook f c8 or queen b4. So his other opponent played queen b4. I was going to play rook f c8, rook c2, and h5. This variation is actually pretty solid. Larson used to play like this with black. The plan is actually king h7, queen d8, and queen h8, and black controls a long diagonal. I had some games like long time ago. My basic plan is to like dominate the a1 square with like every piece I have. Probably like doubling the rooks, queen on h8. We just control a1. I had literal games against like good players where I just controlled the a1 square and everything was alright. But he was like, he had some kind of psychic power. Like, he didn't go into the position he won easily against another player. He smelled some kind of rat here. So on his own, without like, I guess, preparation, he sat and he went into the tank now, and he thought for like 15 minutes. I was like, what is going on? Was it this position? Now I guess here he didn't think that long. I take it back. It was later. I'll show you. Here he thought for like a couple minutes, and I was like hoping he castles or plays queen d2, and he played f3. And this was like the WTF moment. I was like, what is he doing? So, telling a long story short, one of my students, one of the regulars here, Move 11, and I had discussed this a while ago in reference to some kind of game. I think I saw Sam Shankland, who I'm glad lost today. Not really a fan of his. I think I saw a Shankland game where he like castled queenside. There's Move 11. So there's some kind of crazy ideas where like white castles queenside, and that's what happened in this game. But it's very shady, and like there's not that many games where this has been played. I should also mention that when white plays f3, I'm a King's Indian player. I'm a King's Indian player, and there are Samish King's Indians that are directly transposing here. I found him to be very arrogant. We had a 2-game match in First Saturday, like 10 years ago, and there were a couple things that he did that I just didn't really like. I've already like discussed that. I don't want to like. He just seems very arrogant even before he was a strong player, and additionally, like, I didn't like the fact that he was, when we got paired in the first round of a tournament, he like busted out his laptop and started like preparing for me like 5 minutes before the game. It's kind of like you're like doing a duel with another player and like gonna like get a bigger sword or something, you know. I mean, it's not against the rules, but I thought it was like kind of bad sportsmanship to bust out the laptop and start preparing for me, like sitting, you know, in the lobby of the Chess Federation like 5 minutes before the round. That's a thing where you can disagree with me about it, but I'm very fair, you know. I don't like that, really, you know. But anyway, like they're little things. I just didn't like him. Whatever. That's my personal opinion. Bishop d7 now. So I found an idea here. Anyway, it's not clear if this guy prepared this or not. I actually sent a message to move 11 regarding this position today. Yeah, Karyakin just crushed him. It was a beautiful game. Karyakin's a better player. I mean, I hope he wins. Now, I'm not really one to root for the Russians. You know, it's kind of like I'm torn because I'm not a nationalist, but I also don't want to see, like, in today's political climate, really, like, the Russians succeed. But honestly, I just was kind of turned off by Shankland. There was also a photo of him. There was a photo of him, like, in the Lichess, where he's, like, staring at Karyakin, like, giving him the look of death. Like, that seems the kind of thing that he would probably do. You know, I don't like it, man. Bishop d7. So this move, I found an interesting idea here for black. The idea is e6. Black plays e6. There's a Yehuda Grunfeld game here from 1982. Because I was thinking, like, if we get into this race where he's castling queenside, I'm castling kingside, I might be in trouble. Yeah, I can't really root for Russia, but at the same time, I have nothing really against Karyakin, personally. I don't have any problem with Karyakin. I don't really want to root for Russian players, given the political climate now. But I also can't root for Shankland. So I'm kind of neutral. I don't really care who wins the World Cup. The only people I liked were the Hungarians and maybe like Caruana. If I'm being honest, like the only people I would have rooted for would be those guys like Erdos and Berkesh and Caruana. For me, like, it doesn't matter who wins. I'm not a Magnus fan either, but he'll probably, deservedly win it. Anyway, this is a really good plan. Black will play for d5, and I think this is the way to go. It's a very unusual position. So instead, I just kind of like played bishop e7, and then I walked around the room for 20 minutes praying he would castle kingside. He took forever here. And you can see, like, the opening explorer. Okay, queen d2. Now knight d4. Bishop d4. Bishop c6 doesn't make that much sense because the pawn's already protected. So I knew this was known already. I think move 11 I actually looked at this. We decided on a5 a while ago. But I don't think this is good enough, man. I think that black's in trouble here, objectively. Like, we're in serious trouble. Bishop c6 is not good. It's fine if White castles queenside, but that's the problem. He doesn't castle queenside. He starts some kind of kingside attack. Objectively, like, something would happen in the game. There's a Talbaran-Gusenov game here, but maybe there's something to this. I didn't look at this. Maybe there's something to bishop c6, giving the d7 back. What about h4, knight h5? There you've got knight h5 with g3. Here you've got knight d7. If g4, knight d7. So maybe there's something here that I missed. I thought bishop c6 was stupid. I mean, I'm not so afraid of this, though it is a reasonable move. Bishop c6 is an option. Said I played a5, and now he thought forever. This was the 20-minute thing. I guess if it looks h4 is strong. Check out the score. We got a serious problem. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. White has 7 wins and 2 draws in this position. Nice. We're in good shape. We know we're in good shape when White has 7 wins to 1. I looked at this Boldov Hausrath game. It transposed to my game. It's a disaster. And Hausrath is a good player. There's also, like, another reasonable game. But he decided after 20 minutes thinking, I was thinking, okay, castle kingside will transpose to the main line. But he went crazy. He played g4. And I don't understand like the black score here, but these are not known players. There's nothing, I guess, apparently wrong with g4. It really maybe doesn't make a difference if he plays g4 or h4. But I played a4, White played h4, and I don't think that black is okay here. I saw all kinds of nightmares, like queen a5, h5, and sometimes White plays like h6. So here's the two games. Yeah, I mean, this is problematic, man. The other game was Igor Stoll against 2200. Stoll, who's like a Slovakian grandmaster who's very famous theoretically. This is a problem. Black is not really okay here. The main thing is like he doesn't mate me like a Yugoslav attack. He can play like h6 and just like spatially beat me. But it looks like this might be sustainable. Bishop e6, king f2, rook fc8. I was actually afraid of h6, but then I can play bishop f8. So the other line I looked at was this. This scared me a lot. I just don't like this. I mean, I feel like I have no space. But it's funny, if you see both these games, both these guys lost horribly. h5, bishop e6. Now watch what happened. King f2, rook fc8, b3, and someone played b5. This guy who's a grandmaster, who's a strong player, Daniel Hausrath, played b5. Like, how does that even work? I don't think this even comes close to working. b5 got crushed, and then another guy did this against Grandmaster Stoll. Bishop takes g4. Anyway, have a nice day. This is hopeless, you know. So, I don't know. This guy, maybe he just had really good prep. I'm the second person to play h5. And now the problem is he has massive space advantage. If he plays g5, I guess knight e8. Or possibly knight h7. This is the thing that scared me a lot. There's also this. But I think black is narrowly alright here. Like bishop f6, pawn takes. I think this position is dicey. But the dark square bishop is so strong that black's probably alright. He was afraid to go into that. So he played this. And this is following some random game. And the guy... The guy who played this game with black was weaker, and he played like e5. I think this is like over. Black ended up winning this game, but I mean, I think black is probably done here, you know, honestly. I looked at this variation. This was the exact variation I was terrified of. It looks very strong for white. So I thought of quite a while, plus 1 point something. I thought quite a while on this, and I decided it was very dangerous. Possible that black can survive. Interesting. It looks like bishop g5. I missed that. But anyway, e5 is really bad. So castle h5, castles, queen a5. Maybe I have something else here, like a3. I'm not sure what it does, though. So anyway, we'll be here all day. I don't want to take 2 hours to analyze this game, but I played queen a5, and I was mostly concerned about this. I don't know what Schieberspieler, what you would have done, but the point is, like, this is no good because of knight e5, and, like, I can't defend my e7. This is horrible, like, here. This is horrible. I looked at this. This is... No, my queen's hanging. I'd have to exchange here. Rook d8. Knight d7. I think I looked at this. Takes. And then like c5. But maybe I misevaluated this. Amazingly, black is surviving here. I thought I was like lost. Am I lost? Bishop g7. Okay, so right away. He just has to be careful with the move order. So I'm just lost. in all these variations. So I have to do this. If g5, knight h7, knight d5, queen e2, rook d2, and then rook a e8. And then, okay, this was his best chance, objectively. This is probably what would have happened, and I just have to suffer now with like way less space. But you know, maybe I can survive. But I was in a state of shock when he played this. I was very, very happy. Basically, White is trying to play it like it's a Yugoslav attack, but he's not set up like a Yugoslav attack. I mean, he doesn't have bishop on c4. I am happy that he played pawn takes h5, big time, but it's still sharp. So bishop g7, king g7, rook here, and now, really important moment. I had the feeling when I played the following move, like I had this little voice inside my head was saying like rook h8 is a mistake. Like I wanted to play a3, but I started to have these like creepy fears that like he would have rook g5, pawn takes pawn, queen b2, and then like some kind of nasty threats like this. But objectively, it looks like it's not a problem. You know, like that variation, for example, I can just play e5, and everything's okay. I mean, the guy's king is on c1 in a wide open position. I mean, unless he has some sort of rook takes h5. I think this was a big mistake, like letting him play rook g5. I should have played a3, and I'm also like terrified he's going to play a3 and fix my pawn. I played this, he plays this, and my plan was to play queen b4, but this was my biggest like mistake during like analyzing this position. I mistakenly thought I could play this, but the longer I looked at it, the more I hated it. Like he plays a3, which is a really good move. And then my first analysis was like, oh, everything's fine. I'll play queen b3. I mean, he can't trap my queen. But the more I looked at this position, the worse I hated it. Maybe it's not that bad, but I don't have any threats whatsoever. And it looks like he's coming with like f4 and like bishop takes h5. And I can't really generate any threats. There's also knight d5. This looks problematic. Yeah, it's like +4. Oh my god. So I quickly realized that like I can't play queen b4. So the whole rook h8 was wrong. And then after rook g5, I have to play queen a7. And it's lucky that I'm okay here, because I'm just barely okay. I have the queen that can come in here. So he thought forever, then he played f4, and now my only chance is queen f2. And I'm hitting f4. I'm staying on his guy. I'm pinning his bishop-queen trades are welcome, as Schieberspieler said. And I have a better structure. And I have my lobsters. My lobster claws are functioning. Fully functional lobster claws. I'm really big on rook pawns. And a lot of my favorite players like Botvinnik and Larson were big on rook pawns. So honestly, at first I thought I was toast after knight d5. But I found this move, like, after the fact. Like, originally, trying to remember. The problem was knight g3, he has queen c3 check. And I think I'm a dead man. That was, like, obvious, you know. So, if black doesn't have a good move now, I think I looked at this, and I started realizing I was a goner around here somewhere. But I have this amazing move that just came to me, you know, knight f6, and it was like, holy crap, he must have missed it. It attacks e4. I'm starting to trade off his knight. I'm attacking h4, and if he takes, I take with the pawn, and I'm attacking his rook. So suddenly, like, magically, all of black's problems are solved in one move. Knight f6. He played rook f1. He started getting time pressure, but the game is still complicated. Queen h4. He takes on e7, and now I had more time, but I wasn't really sure who was better here. This looks very dangerous. If knight e4, queen d4 check, knight f6, I'm just lost, right? I mean, it's very easy to be lost here. So, I realized I have no time to do anything else. And I saw what I did in the game, which was here. And if he takes, he thought he was safe. But there's this surprising move he probably missed in time pressure, rook a6, which was my point. That's why I played. Otherwise, I would have played the other rook. You know, honestly, I would have gone with this rook. But I wanted to keep the a rook to play rook a6 when he takes on d6. So now here, and I didn't think I was winning here. I just thought it was unclear. And I actually thought he might just retreat his queen or something like queen b4. But objectively, it looks like I'm just taking this. I wasn't sure like what was going on in crazy variations like here, for example. It was hard to calculate this far. This is hanging, like d7's hanging, a6 is hanging, his rook's hanging, his knight's hanging. I don't know what's going on. So let's see. Yeah, okay. So I don't understand, why is this not playable? Knight e4, queen b7, rook e7, queen a6, knight g5. At the end of the day, he ends up like dropping a piece in this very long variation, like e2. So he tries to play king d1, his king is just bare. Nice material equality here. How's your king doing? So basically, like, I saw this. This was my main line. He's not that good tactically as me. You know, I didn't expect this game to happen. I expected a dry Marazzi, but he got into this, like, sharp position where I'm stronger than him tactically. So, you know, of course I saw this queen d7. I expected it, in fact. The problem is, he's starting knight f5 check, winning my queen on h4. But I saw it all in advance. Queen takes g5, and if he takes back, I'm just like winning the exchange with knight d7. So he found what looked like the only move, queen e8, and I just go here. And it's really amazing because he's up a piece for the moment, and there's nothing White can do. His queen is attacked, his bishop's attacked, and his king is open more than my king is open. So he's actually like lost, or close to lost here. He's not completely lost. Wow. Knight f5 check takes. I didn't think this worked. Queen e5. Wow. I missed this. Rook e6. I mean, I looked at this and I thought I was winning, but apparently there's a move he has, queen c5. What? And then queen e2. That's insane. And he has a draw. That's crazy. I'm up a piece, but he takes on f5. That's insane. I mean, I'm up a freaking piece here. How is this not winning for black? My god. I just assumed I was winning. Rook c6, queen e5 check. Are you kidding me? Wow. So he had a miraculous way to save the game there. But the guy was down to like 1 minute in time pressure now. And he played this, which looked very natural. So after queen e2, the problem is he actually has a mating threat with rook h1, queen h8 mate. But he's dropping everything with check. If he plays rook h1 threatening mate, I have queen c4 check, king b1, queen e4 check, and I take his rook with check on the next move. Everything goes. So this, my friends, is why you don't castle queenside in the Marazzi. And he learned his lesson the hard way. Queen g2, queen d8, queen e2, and now, sadly, everything's hanging. His king is totally exposed. He's losing the c4 with check. He's dropping e4. His rook is dropping. But I blundered. Queen c4, king d1? In that position? Ah, interesting question. I guess like queen d3 check. No. I have some tricks. Yeah, like queen e3 check, king c1, queen e3 check. Oh, no, I don't have queen d3. Sorry, hanging my queen. That doesn't work. Oh, that's a good question. There's always knight h5 if I have to. No, there's queen g8 check. That's complicated. No, Shieberspiel with a tough question. I missed this. There has to be something here that we're missing. He's starting mate. Rook e6 doesn't do anything. Rook h8 is possible. No. Rook a8, I meant. Does rook a8 work? Dude. Maybe that works. Mickey Deek said it. I swear I didn't read it. I found it on my own. Yeah, this is crazy. Here, check. And then here. And if here, I have here. And if here, I have here. So I win his rook with check in all variations after giving away my rook. So we end up better. Probably winning. Yeah. Rook a8 is like a miracle. It's the only winning move. Wow. Knight e8 is a draw, apparently. Damn. I probably would have found it. I had a little more time than him, but... Forcing moves. But he didn't trust rook h1, so he played this. And now I made this, like, catastrophic mistake. He was in time pressure with, like, less than a minute, and I had, like, 3 minutes or 4. And I had this another feeling, like, I have a bad feeling about this. I should just, like, take. But I was, like, I didn't want him to get away. Queen e4, queen c4 check here, queen e4, and he, like, hides in the corner. But honestly, I can pry him open with a3. This is totally, totally winning for black. All I had to do was, like, take his pawns and, like, play a3. I'm not even sure if that's the best move, but... I mean, I could just take this. I'm up 2 pawns and an ending. White has no play. But I did this horrible move. So, in time pressure here, I saw at the last minute he has queen d4, and I was freaking out. It looks like he might even save the game. He missed it. I can't believe it. It's geometrically logical. It, like, controls this, it pins my knight, it's on my king, and he guards b2. I'm still better, but I don't know. I don't know if I would have been able to win now. It was a tragic blunder. Very, very lucky that he didn't see it. So queen e2 does nothing. So, check. And now, I mean, clearly, like, I guess you should play king b1. It's not good, but it's better than nothing. But he played this striking move, allowing me to play pawn takes b2 check. And then there's, like, mate on a2. This would be really ugly. He just totally fell apart. So it's horrible. Embarrassing. Like, takes. Here he had to play this. And then knight e4 check. And he just, like, lost his queen. And he sat there for, like, 2 minutes, like, watching his I am norm sort of evaporate into thin air. He wouldn't resign for a very long time. It was kind of weird. Like, it was just setting in that he lost. Anyway, that was my 8th round game against Juhas, which was essential. All right, guys, that was a good battle. Yeah, the rook move was a miracle move. Rook a6 was the key. This is the move that upset him. Like, he had just not seen it, I think. Lateral rook moves like that, it sort of comes out of nowhere in the periphery of your vision. But I'm used to it. I'm constantly moving my rook pawns down the board, especially in the dragon, all kinds of Sicilians, King's Indians. I mean, I'm very accustomed to playing rook lifts on the A file. So this was like my favorite move. I knew that would freak him out. I mean, honestly, I had looked at another line here. I had actually considered sacking the exchange with rook e7. I was lucky with one exchange sack already in the tournament. So I literally considered this. I mean, his knight is so nasty, threatening like he's threatening queen e7 in this position. It's not like I played rook a6 and I didn't see queen e7. I mean, I saw it. But I could have played this. I didn't analyze this with the computer. So that was like my safe variation. But I can't let him check me on d4, so I probably have to take care of the rook. And white's up the exchange. And it's funny because he had another game against the guy from Guatemala in my tournament who he beat up the exchange, something like that, in a similar position with like perfect technique. This would be like a nightmare, probably. I started thinking about how he beat the other guy, where the other guy sacked the exchange. Actually, it was funny because it was also like a rook on e4 or something, like a bishop on e4 in the center of the board. It wouldn't be enough, This is like begging for a draw. So I had to find this. I mean, this is like Stockfish says this is black's only move where black is better, I think, after rook a6. Let me see. Yeah, this didn't occur to me, like calmly play bishop e6. Looks like it's not good enough, actually. Computer's having some tough time handling this. The engine is not analyzing bishop e6 right. So rook a6 was the only move, essentially. That saved the game. Anyway, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We're going to be back tomorrow with Blitz. 10 a.m. CST. We'll take challenges tomorrow morning. Thanks to all of you for tuning in, for Astrobate, for your gift subscriptions. Much appreciated. Move 11, thanks a lot, man, for being part of our Marazzi prep. And Schieber Spieler for tuning in as well, sharing his game and his win against Banus Tamash. Thanks to all of you guys for sharing. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.